what would my investing strategy be after graduating from X school? So that could be medical school, nursing school, business school, whatever, right? So I'm Nate, I'm the FitFutureMD, lost 30 pounds in 30 days. If you want to pick up that free copy of the Nutrition and Fitness Guide in the description below, find out how I did it. So the first thing I'm going to do, everybody knows that student loans are terrible, right? So you can't get rid of them. So you have to, first thing you're going to do, a job like this. When I graduated, there were no jobs. If you got a job, you were just very, very lucky. But, so if you've got a job, it's the career you want to be in, 100%, like this is where I want to be. So the first thing I'm going to do is assess that debt, right? What interest rate is it at? Are the market interest rates lower than when I got these loans, right? So for me, when I went to school, interest rates were 8-9% for student loans. So 2021, when they dropped to 3%, I refinanced my student loans and cut my payment in half, right? So, that's a no-brainer to go make, shop around and refinance your loans, right? Because, you're going to pay them off anyway, but at the same time, when you go to part two, you'll see why you need to refinance or get this payment as low as possible, right? Because what the bank is going to do, the bank is going to say, well, this is your payment, this is how much you can afford on a mortgage, right? Because there's 3 or 4 things in life that you have to have. You got to have food, you got to have shelter, you got to have transportation, right? You got to have clothing, right? So, we got a job, so we secured food. We already had a car because we went back and forth to school or some kind of transportation. So number 3 is housing, right? So I'm assessed to see, so is this job that I got, is this where I want to be at, right? So like for me, if I got a job in the middle of downtown Raleigh, that would not be where I want to be at, right? Sorry, it's just, I'm not a city boy, right? I'm a country boy. So I would take advantage of this program called a USDA program, right? And it's 0% down. You don't have to put any money down to secure a house, right? In a rural area, a country area, right? Most of North Carolina is considered a USDA eligible area, right? So, or you can go first time home buyer, which is 5%, or you can do, or 3.5%, or you could do a traditional mortgage at 5%, which is the one that we ended up taking, was the traditional mortgage at 5%. But that's because we had cash to burn. If you, so here's the key, right? When you first graduate, usually you don't have cash to burn, right? So you want to save your cash so that if something goes wrong with the house, you have that 6 to 9 month emergency fund already in place so that if something goes wrong with the house, you can fix it, whatever, right? If I have a person that's never owned a house before, that, does not have any fixer-up type of personality or, stuff like that, I'm going to probably get a new build, right? So I'm a 0% down USDA on a new build, right? And then that's got, anything goes wrong in a house the first year, usually they'll come and just fix it, right? So toilets this, toilets that, the company that made the house, they're going to come back and fix it. So that kind of thing. But me personally, I have a little bit of knowledge in that area, right? So I can paint, I can fix doorknobs with just doors, paint windows, whatever, install flooring, right? I can do all that stuff. So we actually chose to get a 1980s house that needed work, right? So we actually got this is called a wedge deal, right? Where you get the value of the house is lowered because it needs work on the inside, but the amount of money that you spend on the inside is you leverage that up on how much the house is actually worth, right? So say you buy a house for 100, you put 20,000 in it, and it's worth 200. Well, you've 5x'd how much money you've had to put in the house, right? Based on the value, right? So at this point, I'm actually interested in businesses and how businesses are ran, and where the people went to school at, or what circles they run in, and all that kind of stuff. So I chose to dabble in the stock market, right? And that's in a personal brokerage fund. I also have a Roth IRA, traditional IRA, 401k through my job, right? But that's just something that I was interested in my free time, right? Some people will choose to say, hey, I'm going to go get a second job in my field, right? So if you're a nurse, you can work 3 days a week, your 12-hour shift, 36 hours or whatever, and you can work 2 more days, doing an 8-hour shift or something at a nursing home, or, whatever. And you're using that money to pay off these student loans as fast as possible. It's basically the idea, right? Because student loans don't go away, right? And your debt to income ratio is affected by the student loans, right? So the banks are not going to give you money to invest in real estate if you have a high debt to income ratio, right? And this has nothing to even do with your credit score. And this is honestly why most people get denied, and why I got denied, is because my debt to income ratio is really high, right? Because of student loans. So, you got to pay that down. And fastest way to pay it down is get another job or second job. You're already young, right? You're graduating in your 20s. Hustle, get rid of that stuff. Pay them a lot less money back, right? Because most people, and just talk about average, you're not a business owner, you're not somebody that's gonna buy a businesses or, whatever. If you're that person, that's cool, but the majority of people are gonna, be regular normal people, right? So get that second job while you're young, go ahead and get rid of those student loans, and the amount of money, because it's not about how much you make, right? It's about how much you keep, right? And so the faster you get rid of those student loans, the more money you can make over your lifetime, right? Because that money can then go into investing. And the more money you invest, the more it compounds, the richer you get in the end, right? Because how you really live a really good lifestyle is that your investments start making you as much as you make in your job, right? So then you're not having to work a second job. You don't even have to work the first one if you really don't want to, right? And that's kind of the American dream, right? Is that you basically don't have to work as hard to live a great lifestyle, right? And so say you graduate at 22, and by 32, you could be a multimillionaire making 60, 70, 80,000 off of your investments, no problem, right? But it's all about what you're interested in. If you're interested in real estate, then invest in real estate. If you're interested in stocks, invest in stocks, right? The way you get rich as a normal person is you go from worker to investor, right? So you may know people that, have talents in things that you put 10,000 into their business, and the next thing you know, you're a millionaire, right? Or so, like, for example, Jeff Bezos' family, he had 10 people give him $50,000 to start his business, Amazon, right? And each one of those people, all 10 of them are billionaires, but because of that investment. And you really think about 50,000 to $1 billion, and you didn't do any work. That's the game in the U.S., right? But that 50,000 at the time might have been all you had, might have been 100% of your investment, but you believed in that person. So there's people like that out there that you may know that has that capability. You know, in America, most of the millionaires and billionaires are C students. They're not A students, right? Most of the high salary people are A students. They went to Stanford, Harvard, you know, all these big schools, Duke, you know, but they don't do these simple principles, you know, and invest and become rich based on their lifestyle, right? So it's really about how much you keep, right? But hopefully this makes sense to you guys. Like, when your net worth hits $1 million, you can kind of go play around. You know, you want to buy a boat, you want to buy a car, you want to buy whatever, you know, and it's going to be less than 10 years, right? You're going to be 30, probably, in a multimillionaire if you follow this strategy, right? Like I say, I personally, you know, like the stock market. I'm very good at it, and, you know, I can see the ups and downs, I can see the trends, but that's what I'm interested in. If you're not interested in that, you know, find the investment strategy that you are interested in, that you will, you know, learn about. I'm Nate, I'm the FitFutureMD. Hopefully this helped you out, guys. Let me know in the comments below if it did. Go to Ensorsale.com and get you a t-shirt. Wear your inspiration, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.